Education meeting for Monday, September 8th. Emily, would you provide a roll call, please?
Eric?
Here.
Bridget?
Here.
Mark?
Here.
Brian?
Here.
Tracy?
Here.
Ann?
Here.
Aaron?
Here, I'll verify that we have a quorum present. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mark, would you please read the school board mission statement?
Yes, working together to ensure high levels of learning for all.
Thank you. Emily, was public notice given?
Public notice was given to the requesting news media. The agenda was posted in the district buildings and on the district website.
Thank you. Any revisions to tonight's agenda?
Mr. President, I'd request to move item number 16 regarding donations to after item number 10, which is staff recognition, to allow some of our guests to go early.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented, moving 16 after number 10.
Second.
Motion by Brian, seconded by Ann to approve tonight's agenda as published with the following adjustment, moving item number 16 to follow item 10. Are there any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Tonight's agenda is approved. We have no requests for public input on tonight's published agenda, and as a result, we'll move directly into recognition item number 9, and welcome Ali.
So we're welcoming Ali because he did something so amazing. As just a sophomore, he has authored 3 books and self-published them. And you'll see a little bit later on in our donations that he's going to be donating 2 copies of each of those books to each of our elementary LMCs. So I would just invite Ali to share a little bit about kind of what led him to some really cool ideas that are very developmentally appropriate for our elementary kids to really get them engaged in reading. So.
Hello everyone. Thank you for having me tonight. And I'm just so honored to be able to donate my books to my community and this community. I originally wrote these books in when I was in elementary school in 4th and 5th grade around then. So I was originally inspired by some of my courses in writing that I had taken at that time, and also reading myself. So I was inspired to write chapter books. So, and then I published them on Amazon through their self-publication service. And since then, I've wanted to give these books to other students so that they can learn to read, so that they can read and learn new ideas as well. So now I'm just honored to gift them to the elementary schools of this school district so that more elementary school students can be inspired to read and hopefully develop a connection with an author who's from their own school district. Thank you.
Ali, what are your books titled and what are they about?
So the first one is titled The War of the Lego Galaxy, which is essentially it's closely related to Star Wars, but it's placed in a Lego format, like the building blocks. And it follows the same essential themes of good versus evil and large-scale conflicts and so on. And then my second book is called Flying Without Wings, which is about a boy who grows up in rural Pakistan, which is my native country. And it's about how he faces different adversities and hardships and eventually grows up into his dream to be a doctor and help serve his community. And finally, the third book is called Lost in Nature, which is about a man who gets lost in the forest and finds interesting secrets hidden within.
That sounds really cool. Congratulations. Very
Thank you.
impressive.
I feel like I'm always seeing you in some fashion doing something really, special and unique.
you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions for Ali? Maybe he deserves a round of applause.
I think so.
All right, we'll now move into agenda item number 10, which is some staff recognition. And we welcome Tom Cowley.
Yeah, and I'd like to share a couple comments about Tom. Tom, come on up. Maybe you got to sit in the chair there, and you can give a speech too. You know, it's really cool to continue our time-honored tradition to acknowledge some of our team members that continue on with their education and receive and earn advanced degrees. And Tom's with us this evening for us to recognize, honor, and acknowledge his strong work and continued commitment to himself professionally, personally, and also, you know, continuing to grow and be the best he can be to serve our students here in Onalaska. So Tom, thank you for everything that you do for us on every single day. We do have a certificate, and maybe you do want to share a couple thoughts or anything that you have. You have the floor if you'd like it.
Sure. First of all, thank you. It was pretty neat to go back. I guess I'd been removed for more than 5 years, so. But I had a lot of support and encouragement from administration. That was really awesome. And the teachers and school board members and just getting to know you, but feel there's definitely a lot of support there too.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you very much. And you join, I guess, good company where we have 71% of our team members have their master's degree or beyond. So we appreciate you, Tom, and thank you. And looks like you brought your children with you, so thank you for coming with some hilltoppers over there. All right. Any questions or thoughts for Tom?
Just, it's, what a huge undertaking. We know you're a teacher at the high school, we know you're a coach at the high school, we know you have your own team at home. This is half or not quite?
40%.
That's a math teacher answer.
To take that on top of everything else, just what an amazing example you are to the students at the high school, to your own kids, to the girls that you coach, to show that it's possible and that, you know, continuous learning is important. So thank you for that. We appreciate that and
Thank you.
appreciate you coming tonight to allow us to congratulate you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, let's give him a hand. And Tom, we have a certificate. I don't know. Maybe I'll just come over to you. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Great. Thanks again, Tom. And now we welcome Janie Lester.
We're recognizing Janie tonight for winning the Co-op Credit Union Outstanding Teacher Award. She was nominated by a local student from here, from Onalaska, and nominated her as an outstanding teacher. Janie, do you want to share a little bit about what you're using the donation? You received a donation of $200 for this, so.
Well, I'm making a list and I'm just picking out things that I couldn't usually.
Or not.
Green.
Okay. Okay, green means go. All right, got it. So yeah, I'm just thinking, I'm creating a list of a few things I wouldn't typically get. So it's very nice to be recognized and get that. And I still don't really know who nominated me, but you know, it's really nice to be recognized.
I got to know Janie pretty well the last 2 years as the pre-K director in the district. She's one of our pre-K teachers at Northern Hills, and a well-deserved recognition. So.
Very nice.
Oh, we're giving hands tonight.
Seeing.
Yes. Very pleased tonight to introduce a couple to you, Eva Dahl and Barry Bloomquist. They are former Eagle Bluff parents, and of course, middle school and high school parents, too. But we're very, very happy tonight about their donation. They would like to donate to us a beautiful bronze and granite sculpture. There's a picture there. It doesn't really capture the beauty in the picture, but we would like to accept that donation tonight. But I wanted to invite them, and I'm told that maybe Eva is the spokesperson of the two, so.
Eva does all the time. Much better at it.
So I'll turn it over to Eva, and she can tell us a little bit about this.
Well, I just want to let you know how exceptionally grateful we are for the education that our 3 children received at the Onalaska School District. When we bought this bronze about 25 years ago, I said, I hope this can be at Eagle Bluff someday. Because Eagle Bluff, our children moved in when it was new. We chose to live in Onalaska because of the school district. And it formed the foundation for academic excellence for all 3 of our children. They've all gone on to achieve doctorates, JD, DDS, and PhD, and they are extraordinarily grateful for their entire education here. The high school was amazing as well. Mm-hmm. So this is just an expression of our gratitude, and to let you know that this has been a great learning experience for them. They were avid readers, and the twins were co-valedictorians, which was amazing when they had their speech that they did collectively. But at any rate, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we believe in quality education, which Onalaska provides.
Thank you.
Thank you. Team, this is an interesting donation in that the estimated value of the gift is roughly $10,000. So it does require board approval. And so I would ask for that.
Actually, 16,000. 25 years ago, it was 16 grand. I'd also like to say that in case some of you have seen the statue of the golfer in front of the Lacrosse Country Club, that's by the same artist. There are a lot of Colorado sculptors that are well known, and this is Mark Lundeen, and it's called Two Sisters, what our statue is. But the one in front of the country club is the Niblick. So, yeah. Anyway.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
I'll make a motion that we accept the bronze and granite sculpture from Ava Dahl and Barry Bloomquist to the Eagle Bluff Elementary.
Second.
Motion by Bridget, seconded by Mark to accept the donation from Ava Dahl and Barry Blomquist for the statue to be placed at Eagle Bluff Elementary. Are there any further questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That gift is graciously accepted. We'll move into item number 11, which is donations. Hand over to Ben.
Well, it's a joy for me to be able to share and acknowledge our donations. And Ali was just here to share a little bit with you about his books, and this is to formally acknowledge and thank him for that. So that's the first one on the list. And then we have $695 from Ultra Federal Credit Union for Onalaska High School Engage program. We have $1,000 from Maury's Onalaska for school supplies at Irving Perch Elementary. We have coupons and incentives from Onalaska Dairy Queen for students at Irving Perch Elementary. We have $200 from a Co-op Credit Union for classroom supplies for teacher Janie Lundstrom. And last but not least, we have school supplies from Mike and Barb Chase for district students.
All very welcome donations, and while they don't require board approval, they are very much appreciated. Let's move into our informational and discussion items and start with administrator reports. Start with Jared.
There's nothing like having a building come back to life in fall. And for as much as is happening during the summer, it just doesn't match the energy that happens the first days of school and continuing. I thought a great example of that was a week and a half ago Friday night when there were 63 seniors recognized as being part of the band, the football team, or the dance team. It was just great to see that level of participation in addition to several hundred in the stands and more on the field. It was just a great celebration of a lot of kids being active and part of that. Jason's talked about that belonging, and that was certainly on display that evening. I also handed out to you a handout that during our pillar report, we'll talk a little bit. You'll see something in there about industry recognized credentials, but just a reminder to the board, these are the ones that are in place already. And I think a celebration, like if you look at, for example, that Adobe, they actively tell people it requires about 150 hours of instruction. Our kids get closer to 45 hours of instruction, and they're still able to pass the certification test. The Inventor one on there requires about 400 hours, but again, our kids are getting closer to 45 to 60 hours in that class. So I think it's truly a celebration of what our kids can do and some remarkable teachers that prepare students for these. Again, great pieces that not Onalaska High School is saying that they've earned, but the state is showing that they've earned through state and national testing that these kids have shown their proficiency on.
So they get the instruction at the high school. Do they get the testing at the high school?
So we do the testing at the high school too. There's 30 hoops to jump through for several of these, but once they're in place with our great data team, it's been easy the last year now after the first 2 years to make it happen.
That's awesome. So it's completely taken care of. They don't have
Absolutely.
to travel or doing that's.
And then it's put right on their transcript also, so it's another reflection of what they've learned.
Very cool. Thank you.
Well, it's been a great start to the school year at the middle school as well. Last time we spoke was we had 1 day in, and so now we're 2 weeks in a day, and it's been really a great start. Particularly some of the changes we made to the schedule. There's been a lot of positive feedback from staff and students, really appreciating those things, and so hopefully that will continue to be the case. Our athletic seasons are off and running for the fall. We've got some of our first competitions already starting up this week, and so it's just a wonderful thing to see so many students involved and active. And finally, our open houses. We tried something different this year. Instead of the traditional everybody come all at the same time for a crazy hour of drop and go and just an anthill madness, we did grade level open houses. So it was a little bit more of a time commitment, but we had a lot of positive feedback from parents and staff as well, saying they liked the presentation, the kind of focused part, get a lot of information, and then just a little bit calmer pace to actually have a conversation with some teachers. And of course, having a new building to show off is helpful as well for people. But overall, it's a real positive start, and those are some of the highlights.
Thank you, Ben. Abby?
So to start for elementary, as has been mentioned, everybody's excited to be back at school. There's definitely a different energy with kids in the building. We've had welcome back assemblies and gatherings and things just to reacclimate to school. Also, our assessment windows are open, so we're gathering that beginning of the year data and looking forward to building upon our experience from last year with our PRPs, our personal reading plans and such, so looking forward to that. Also in our second year is our resilient learner interventionist position, and so that's been just a really wonderful addition to our systems to support all students. And so as we start the year, each of our interventionists has been helping with specific students, but then also facilitating some whole group instruction and then some small group as well. We're also looking forward to having Ben in each of our classrooms at elementary in the next several weeks. He'll be visiting. So we're looking forward to that. And then just a couple of building-specific things at Perch. One of the things that we celebrate is our foster grandparent program, and that's through Workforce Connections. So we've had Grandpa Jerry with us for several years, and we are now onboarding another foster grandparent. So Grandma Irene had her first day at Perch today.
I was just going to share, we have our UWL field students too joining us this week, so starting tomorrow, so we're very excited to welcome them into the building and to join us. And then we have our fence finished about, so very, very excited. Mostly positive and very exciting remarks from parents coming in, and it's just nice. We're excited. Mr. C, our art teacher, is already planning a little art project with the colorful circles that you can put on the fence with some of his 4th and 5th grade students, and we're happy to show a visual of our priority of safety So very excited to have that up.
Thanks, Kelly.
And at EB, we're also welcoming our UWL Professional Development School field students starting tomorrow. It's a long-standing relationship we've had with UWL, and it's been very, very beneficial for all. We started drawing for the weekly Wings card winners last Friday after establishing all of the expectations in the building, and so that's always fun. Getting out those awards to kids. And to kind of go along with all of that, we've got a sort of a beginning of the year tone setter assembly for students on Thursday. A presenter named Corey Greenwood is going to present his Active Kindness assembly. So looking forward to that. Anna Pals started the renovations in our building last week, and so that's getting underway too. So we get to experience a little construction noise.
Nice to be able to pass that around. Thanks, team. Let's move on into hearing more about noise from construction, and we'll start with the high school, see how the project's going there.
There's been a lot of exterior work continuing to happen, specifically the paving along the east side of the building. It's anticipated that this will be completely paved by Friday night, which will make traffic flow for the game much easier than what it's been with the band, the band, the football team, and everyone else, the spectators coming through there. The vinyl coverings went up down in the basement this weekend, and that's really brightened the halls in addition to the flooring that will soon be installed. Lockers been installed, but we don't have locks yet, so we're hoping we have those within the week. The fieldhouse bathrooms are nearing completion. We're anticipating having the females bathroom by Wednesday, and then the male bathroom by next Monday or Tuesday. More work is being done still in the band room with acoustic panels, and then kind of exciting, they were looking at when they could install the boilers because it involved shutting down the chillers for a couple of days, and there was a lot of angst about when that could happen until they saw the 60-degree forecast last Thursday, Friday. So that should be all back up and running by tomorrow, and those were installed at the end of last week and this weekend. So it's getting closer and closer to the final stages.
Middle school, Ben.
Yes, I think that there's a video. So we'll start
Welcome
with the
back
video.
to the Onalaska Middle School for another construction community update. We're excited to show you guys the progress that we have going on inside. Today is actually the first day of school, so students are back in classes now, and we continue to make a ton of progress here on site. All the trades have been working hard, finishing up the last phase of the project from inside the building in the Boys and Girls Club area and the remaining tech ed and art areas, and then also on the exterior, as you'll see, we got a lot of exterior site improvements going as well. So we're extremely excited to show you kind of the final phase of the project. So let's hop on in and see what we got going on. All right, we're out at the main entrance of the building. One of the biggest steps forward since our last update was landscaping. So Winona Nursery's been working nonstop, getting the irrigation done and the landscaping put in. As you can see, it looks great and a major improvement from our last update. To give you some more perspective on the site improvements that we've had going, we're here at the bus drop-off area. The last update we had just paved. Now we got all the landscaping in and completed for the start of school. Again, we're over on the west side of the building, and what you can see here in the foreground is the dust collector for the tech ed room getting set. Legger Sheet Metal's in the process of setting that, and then you can also see that Matthew has been in here getting the paving completed in this back area. All right, moving in the building, we're in segment E now, moving into the kind of the back of house area, staff workroom and staff break room areas, and then also a custodial closet. And then just some restrooms. It's an area that's soon to be turned over, just doing some final finishes. All right, we're in the art room now. As you can see, we're working on finishes. The flooring has went in the past couple of weeks. Got ceilings in, just working on buttoning up all the remaining finishes. Cakes work is going to be going in, so just working towards getting this area completed. Right next to the art room is also the tech ed area. As you can see, it's got the same flooring as the art room. Also working on finishes in here, getting equipment moved in, and getting ready to turn over to the district. Moving on in segment C, we're now in the Boys and Girls Club activity area. Specifically, we're standing in the art room. Moving on, you can see we got studs going in, MEP rough-ins going on, and sheetrock getting hung. As we move through, we're moving into what will eventually be the game room for the Boys and Girls Club. Right now we're in the teen center for the Boys and Girls Club. In the foreground will be the future cubby areas, and then also an office and pantry and serving. One of the big milestones since our last update has been completion of the wood gym flooring in the Boys and Girls Club gym. As you can see, it turned out fantastic, looks beautiful, and we even got some equipment set up already in here. So it's come a long way since our last update. We were just starting to put the wood floor down and do the initial sanding. All right, that'll conclude our update for this month here at the Onalaska Middle School. We appreciate everybody tuning in and seeing the progress, seeing everything that we have going on site. As you can see, there's a lot going on, and we're looking forward to finishing up this project here in the near future. Hats off to all the crews who are working day in and day out to make this project a success, and hats off to Chris Anderson as well for the tremendous job that he's done here. Students are back in school, and one of our primary focuses is safety. And Chris has done a spectacular job of getting everybody back in the building while we're still under construction on the backside. So hats off to him for that. We appreciate the partnership with the school district as always, and Vantage Architects, and we look forward to bringing you a couple more updates here as we finish out the Onalaska Middle School. Thanks, and stay tuned.
So to that, I would just add a couple of notes. We are still just a couple of weeks away on getting access to Art and Tech Ed, and then we'll be all moved into all of our new spaces. But I thought I would take a little bit different route with this update and share a little bit of the impact, specifically thinking right now about our music classrooms, because those are ones we just got access to right before school, and so our teachers are, still getting settled, but it's better than it was 3 weeks ago. So from band's perspective, every grade level has to have at least 2 bands because there's usually so many kids. Same thing for choir. And so for both band and choir now with their new spaces, they're able to have the entire band together all at once in their rooms. Usually they were only able to do that to practice a couple of times before the concert in the winter and again in the spring. But because of some changes we made to the schedule as well as the bigger rooms, there's going to be a sequence that we're going to roll out with Topper Time, where we'll be able to do what we're calling super band or super choir, where they'll get to, and it's interesting because to me it didn't seem like it was a big deal, but they were so excited about it, like, oh, they'll actually get to hear the other ones, because I didn't realize, like, French horns are only in one of the 2 bands, and so some people never hear the French horns until the concert, and so just some neat opportunities for band and choir there. Sticking with choir, DJ's new space will allow him to be set up for his curricular choir classes during the day, as well as the extracurricular show choir, and not have to spend time doing a whole lot of tear down and setup because he has the space to do that. Our orchestra teacher, Miss Liebachen, has her own room now. She's always had to share, and so she's very excited about that, as is general music. General music has always shared, and now they have their own classroom there. And in doing so, having the space to unpack some things, I discovered that we have a classroom set of didgeridoos. So maybe we'll add that into the concert mix now that we, are uncovering all sorts of stuff. And one final note, just the impact, again, of the project on the opportunities for kids, really, is what it comes down to. And also, working conditions for staff, because I know those are 2 things that we greatly value here. We have a room back in the music area there that is a music library, and so just last week they finished installing these specialty shelves that kind of pull out from the wall, and so there's 8 shelves in kind of a small closet that are going to replace 25 old clunky file cabinets, and so that's a really cool kind of bonus feature as well, to have a music library and really condense all those file cabinets into one nice, neat system. So just wanted to take a little bit of different approach and talk a little bit more about the impact, since I don't have too much new in terms of spaces available. So
appreciate that, Ben. I was able to be at one of the open houses and stepped into the band room. I'm really interested to see how the impact of that space, the acoustical just excellence that exists in that space, leads to better outcomes for the students as they're learning to play and to make music together. So, yeah, thanks for that. now we'll turn to the summer caps and technology updates, and Janet.
And I was going to lead off with just a thank you to the community, and both of you have already acknowledged that with our capital referendum that you're seeing updates on, and then the operational referendum that are the result of some of these things that I'm going to be showing you are just so important for increasing the educational experience for all of our students, and we are so grateful for our community for that. Just remembering again what the difference is between an operational referendum and a capital referendum. So the capital referendum are what Jared and Ben are updating us on. That's where we borrow money to do big projects because it's such a big price tag, we can't tax for that on a yearly basis. Our operational referendum are actually kind of the preferred kind of referendums because there's no money borrowed. We're taxing for that each year, so every single dollar that we are investing goes 100% towards the projects that we are accomplishing. So this is an update on those things that we brought to the board originally in May. First starting out with the facilities projects, and the items that are here in shaded in lightly yellow, these items are not completely priced out. We're a little behind this year. Usually our projects are all done by the time that school starts. That's not the case for us this year, and we'll be wrapping these up, but we didn't want to delay with showing you the progress that has been made to date. So again, this is a reminder of the items that you had approved and then what those estimated amounts are. Remember, we came back to the board when that estimate for PALS, on a PALS, came in more than we had expected. And then right now, looking at the perimeter fence for Northern Hills, we expect that to come in a little under what we had expected. So that's good news too. So this is a picture reminding us of what we're going to be looking at. This is at the middle school, but what we'll be looking at, because so many of our spaces have more light, to try to get more light into the classroom, but we always want to make sure that from a safety perspective, while we have that light, we're also having in the event with our safety protocol that we need to do a shelter in place, we are able to do that in a manner that's safe for kids. So this is what we'll be seeing when we're done, mostly at Irving Perch and Northern Hills. You can see here the first step before we do that frosting is to get the safety glass in place. So you can see that's happening here at Northern Hills. And that's by far the majority part of this project is putting in that safety glass. That's about $240,000 of the total amount that you have approved. So our goal is to have safety glass on all of our first floor windows, both interior and exterior. Then here's a picture of the Eagle Bluff. We're doing a different section of the building each year. This year it was the green corridors turn. And here's our before picture, and here's our beautiful after picture. It just looks really, really nice. The Northern Hills, Dan took these pictures. I don't know if he meant to take these pictures like looking at this bad grass to make the after picture look even better, but this is what it looked like before, and now you can see, and now we can see on the left, that's when we have made progress even since then, and you can see the black chain link fence to try to make it look more dressy than just the gray. Then the Van C, that's seen its better days, a 2009 model with 140,000 miles on it, and then this is our new van. And what's really nice about this is that it's a little bit larger van. School districts are mandated by law on the length of van that we can have and how many students can be transported. This is kind of an in-between van. So our hope is that we will have some of our you need to have a CDL to transport students with this, but we're hoping that our coaches get some CDL. We've got somebody at Go Right Way that can get them trained so that we can be using this van to offset some of the transportation costs that we're now incurring for our smaller groups of travelers.
So hopefully we'll be seeing this van with a lot of miles on it. We're using it a lot more. Then looking at our technology projects, if you look at this one, the first column is, the things that we brought to you. You'll see because we came in under budget on the Chromebook carts for first and second, that's kind of indented a little bit. We're able to add some more, looking at the bottom with the estimated machines of what we had anticipated and then what we were actually able to replace. And normally this budget is about $500,000. We appreciate that the board approved $590,000 this year because that helps us to do some of the catch-up that we needed to do, especially at the elementary level with smart boards. So we've been able to make a good dent on what we move forward with. And you can see then the actual cost, the difference between estimated costs and actual costs. What we intend to do with that $15,000 difference is add to the high school business lab, getting new monitors in addition to the new machines in that to just increase that experience a little bit more, and then get some more a few more Chromebooks because we need a little bit more than what we had originally anticipated. So with that, I am wondering if you have any questions.
I'm just excited to see it all come together.
It is,
like
isn't it
that
fun?
fence was like, a whole thing, and the floor, like it's just really cool to see it all come together.
It
So
truly is.
I appreciate all the work that everybody put in to like make this all happen, and you running the numbers and the planning and all that. That's very cool. So thank you for sharing that with us tonight.
Thank you.
Our gratitude to Dan, too, for all the hard work Dan does underneath this.
Dan will be ready for projects to be done. It really has been a rough couple of years for him, and he's been a true trooper through it, but it's been rough. So, yeah, I appreciate him a lot.
Janet, thanks for that update. Let's turn our attention now to the annual district goals, and I think, Alicia, you're going to start.
Thank you. And this summer, our work around our annual district and school strategic plans looked a little different than it has in the past, with Ben transitioning into his role and me transitioning into this role. We did things a little bit different just with timing, but we ensured that our goals cascade from the district to the buildings and came together with a well-aligned plan that we're ready to share with you tonight. As in the past, each building had a day with their guiding coalitions this summer where they analyzed their data in order to determine their greatest areas of need. And after our reflection on the strategic plan that we presented the updates to you last spring, we really determined that a lot of work by the buildings has been done in Pillars 2 and 3, but we really wanted our buildings to focus a lot of their work around Pillar 1. So you'll see that represented tonight in our goals. That does not mean that Pillars 2 and 3 are not important in our buildings, but they've done a lot of work investigating and implementing practices that are really hardwired now. So they're going to continue doing those. They're just not writing a goal to tell you they're going to keep doing those, if that makes sense. So today you'll see a greater focus on Pillar 1 from our buildings. And just want to bring everybody's attention back around to our scorecard for Pillar 1. And this is two parts of Pillar 1. The first part, integrate essential academic and social emotional learning to ensure achievement for all. And the ways that we measure that on our scorecard really come down to the measures that we get from the school report card, which come from our state forward testing and the other state assessment tests such as ACT. You'll see that you got a couple of blank spots on there because we won't have those until November for this year, but wanted to remind you that that's what we are reporting to you as our scorecard. We'll continue to use our internal leading measures like STAR, FastBridge, and all the grade checks, things like that, but what we wanted to write our goal around was those Wisconsin state assessment system assessments such as Forward and ACT. And then for the second part of Pillar 1, the Amplify Student Belonging and Engagement, again, you'll see the same things we've measured with attendance and with our Student Life at School survey. So we'll share with you what we have for our district goals, and then buildings are going to share the highlights of their action steps specific to helping us all meet those goals. just a reminder here of who our comparables are. So we have the ones in purple are our local comparison schools, and then the ones in gray are the ones that have those similar demographics to us that we use when we're making that ranking of being in the top 5 of our comparable schools. So taking a look at our goals, we divided it into reading achievement, math achievement, growth, and then those student engagement and belonging. So starting first with reading achievement, we're looking at a goal of 20% or fewer of our kindergarten through 3rd graders requiring a personal reading plan according to Ames Web Plus. Last year we had 30%, and we made some really nice growth on that. So we feel like 20% is not only attainable, but that will also be a really great measure of the health of our system. Any of our academics in our systems, we should expect 20% of kids might need a little extra support at any given time. So this feels like this would be a good measure of the health of our system. Then moving to the 3rd through 8th graders, taking a look at our forward ELA, we're looking for at least 66% of our students to be achieving proficiency on the forward ELA. We were at 58% last year across that grade span. And again, the rationale for getting to 66% is taking a look at what our growth was last year and then pushing a little bit further on that. And then a little bit different from what you've seen in the past at the high school level, we want to take a look at the district level here at our ACT scores, looking for at least 55% of our students to achieve proficiency on the ELA portion of the ACT. The state average last year was 43%. It's a little different for this test to try to look at what our growth was in the previous year because we don't have a true cohort. It's the juniors that take it, so it's a different group of kids taking it this year. So taking a look at that state average and then a little bit of where we would like to be, that would also be a good mark of the health of our system if we get to that 55% mark. So the action steps for the district that we're looking at is first and foremost articulating a protocol for developing our guaranteed and viable curriculum across all grade levels and content areas. And that means we haven't done a good enough job yet of providing the standard for everybody of what that guaranteed and viable curriculum should look like. Everybody's in a little bit of a different place. Some are doing really great and some need some support. So we want to work to make that standard clear for everyone. One of the first steps in that is documenting the standards, skills, and assessments that our new ELA resource K-8 is going to be using this year so that we can continue to further analyze that. And then with that, supporting the implementation and professional development of that new resource. And then you heard us at the elementary level talk a lot about one of the things we learned through the Act 20 process last year was that we didn't have enough fluency practice in our universal instruction. So that's one of the things that we're going to be working on, investigating and implementing that fluency instruction for all kids to make sure that we continue to practice that as we measure it as well. And then for math achievement, very similarly to what we talked about at reading, we're looking for at least 73% of our 3rd through 8th graders achieving proficiency on forward math. We were at 65% last year with that one. And so getting to about 73% really pushes us pretty close to that really healthy system for math. And at the high school level, looking for at least 55% of our students to achieve proficiency on the ACT math. Now the state average is a little bit lower on that one, but we think that looking at what we've done that we can get to that 55%. And so again, very similar to what you heard me say for the reading achievement, we want to continue to articulate that protocol for developing our guaranteed and viable curriculum. That will be for math as well. And then at the elementary level, you heard us talk a lot last year about implementing some math best practices. We're continuing with that professional development and going a little bit deeper to be more specific on what the success criteria looks like at those grade levels so that kids know that they've met it or that they've already achieved it and they're pushing further. And then I'm going to hand it over to Lori to talk about growth.
I will cover the growth and then the student belonging and engagement sections. So if you remember on our scorecard, the goal is to be in the top 5 among our comparable groups. During the 23-24 school year, we did meet that goal, and our end of the strategic plan goal is the top 5. So when we get the report card data, we will hopefully maintain that or even move higher in the ranking. So that continues to be what we're measuring or what we're using to measure our growth. And then our action steps around that are to, of course, analyzing that beginning of year data, and then looking at our system of supports across each building and making sure that if there's any holes, any processes, any students that aren't getting the interventions that we need to make sure they get, that we are continuing to improve that system, both for academic but also for our social emotional learning. So then that brings us down to our student belonging and engagement, which again, we use our system of supports. And our goal around attendance, we will continue. We reworded this. If you looked at our district goals, district and building goals from last year, we reworded it a little differently, but it's the same goal. About at least 90% or more of our students will attend 90% or more of the school days. So last year, or end of year data at the end of last year was 88%, and so our goal is 90%. We're there. That's really a celebration, but there's always room for improvement and room for growth for the students that aren't attending. And then again, action steps, we've looked at and we've implemented quite a variety of different supports and processes, from policy to practices around attendance, and we will continue to do that and to continue to target students and families that maybe there's barriers to attendance that we aren't meeting their needs, to make sure that they are able to, that we promote school attendance. And then the life at school, the student engagement life at school, you won't see that there's a district goal for that, because really, if you remember when we've shared all that survey data, it's very building specific. So you will see each of our buildings have goals around that life at school data, and then how they're looking at improving student engagement for this year, but we don't have a district goal for that. But we are not forgetting about it. It's just embedded into the building goals instead of at the district level. So any questions for Lish or I before we move on to, I think Abby's going to start with the elementary report out for Pillar 1.
That goal setting is bold and it's not safe, so that's really admirable in of itself. And then when you look longitudinally at the stats, there's very little heartbeat stats. They're just steady climbs, especially evident, Sonia, and I think your slide as well. So I guess I would just, those bold goals are being achieved. So could you tell us a little bit about when you want to bump ELA up and bring down like attendance, folks that are not meeting that percentage, what underpins that learning process at your level? How do you bring forward best practices and identify those to get those gains?
Yeah, sure. Are you asking why we're putting more focus on the reading, or just why we're going for a higher goal on that than attendance?
No, sorry, the higher goals are great.
Okay.
To achieve those gains as consistently as the team here does, what process underneath those gains exists we did this well this year and it was really great, let's bring it forward a little bit. Because it's easy to lose, but every year there's improvement. So just what learning process exists underneath, I guess, to bring forward that success?
Sure. I think what we've continued to do is just a deepening of our learning of what the standards are asking for our kids to be able to do, and then also a better understanding of the assessments that we're providing, and our teachers being able to look at that and know this is exactly the thing that they need to intervene on, versus looking at an assessment and going, I don't know what to do with this information, they're just not there yet. So we're doing a lot more of a laser focus on this assessment is telling us this is what they need, and we're going to provide it. I think that's what helps us to continue to build that. Mr. Sainer, were you going to add something there?
I just might add, I just think the whole strategic planning process and the way we're monitoring that very consistently and intentionally, and I think that helps us remind us what those goals are and what we said we're going to do, and then being accountable to come back and report on that. So I think the whole process really helps too, along with, of course, all the things that Lish said. But
those were all part of the process that we've done, yeah.
I keep trying to take the microphone away from Lish. Sorry. I was going to just add to that too, that sometimes we focus on that intervention system and we forget a little bit more about the universal instruction And our heavy lift this year is in that ELA universal instruction and implementing our new curriculum. And developing it, and developing the scope and sequence, and all of the things that Lish mentioned in the action steps. That's our practices and our procedures, and all of the things that are going to. And will it all be done in 1 year? No, it's a multi-year process. Some of these action steps may continue, but it's making sure that we have that viable curriculum for all students, and that every teacher, every classroom, new teachers that come in, they know what they need to teach as far as their instruction.
It's really good. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to mention, and then the attendance piece. We continue to look for partnerships in our community too, like how can we work more with the county, or how can we use our social work services, or like what else can we do? Sometimes it's frustrating because sometimes those barriers, even though we meet with families and we try to problem solve that, sometimes there aren't good answers. But that doesn't mean we stop. And so we just keep looking for better ways to reach that goal. Obviously, we want 100% of kids in school 100% of the time. We know that's not possible, but we'll continue to keep moving that forward. And I think we've, over the last few years, just even the changes in our elementary attendance policy and in our practices around really reaching out to families early and supporting them and finding out, like making that relationship so that they feel like, okay, we're in this together. It's not that we're trying to be punitive about attendance. We really want to make it a partnership. So, does that?
No, thank you. I think, Todd, it shows a unity of focus laterally, and I think a consistency and longevity of focus. You look at one thing and you can bring it up, and then you look at something else and that falls down. So the word earlier about hardwired, and I think it's probably really hard to hardwire, but it requires a lot of overlap, and it just this shows that that's there.
I know it's in our mission statement about for all students, right? And I know that's kind of the expectation, but it is still refreshing to hear, like when you talk about some of the challenges that you face, that you're still looking for creative solutions to try and help support more students. So like, even though you might run into roadblocks, it's nice to like hear, you know, like specific examples like that. So I appreciate you sharing that with us tonight. So thank you.
Well, and also hearing some of the national numbers of attendance, the numbers we have are pretty good.
It's a celebration.
Yeah, for sure. Well, then I'll hand it over to, I think Abby's going to start with some highlights from the elementary for their Pillar 1.
Yes. So just to reiterate, each of our guiding coalitions at our elementary schools did meet independent of one another. But the neat thing is that we come together then and really make sure that we're all in alignment and going in the same direction. So this, the highlights really speak to that. So I'm summarizing achievement and growth, and then Todd and Kelly will take the other portions too. So as was shared, supporting implementation of our new curriculum resource will be very important this year as we kind of row in the same direction. What we've done this year is we have a grade level representative from each grade and then across each building to really work together, because like Lori said, we need to know what kids need to know and how to teach them, but we also need to support staff. So that first bullet really speaks to that and the implementation of our CKLA resource. The next would be our professional development around math for success criteria and fluency. So these are two areas that we really focused in on. Success criteria meaning wanting to make sure that the kids know what they need to know at the end of any kind of instruction, and then what do we do if they don't know it, and what do we do if they do. So that will be professional development both in person and virtual with each of our grade levels with Shannon Keebler, who you've heard us speak about last year. Very well received by our staff, so we want to continue to do that. Also, just thinking about growth, we are looking at our screening data to provide explicit instruction on foundational skills, both in reading and in math. So this speaks to, again, AIMS and then FastBridge screeners, and then what do we do if kids need extra support. We're also using Delta Math this year, and that will identify skill gaps in each of our grade level readiness skill areas, and then that really just helps us to target what kids need to know as they enter each grade. And then finally, just with all of this data, making sure that as buildings, we're aligning our schedule and our resources to support those systems, so both universal instruction, so making sure we have enough time for our new CKLA resource to be implemented, but then also providing support for intervention blocks and then staff to be able to support and provide that instruction and intervention for all of our kids. So from there, we'll speak to attendance as well, and Kelly's going to take that.
I'm just going to share, so some of the things that we're doing at our elementary buildings in relation to attendance to reach our goals, really a lot of the work falls within our TAPS teams. So TAPS stands for Team Approach to Problem Solving, where we review our students who and families who are maybe struggling with attendance, and we then identify what are some of those barriers. We keep our families at the center of this work too. So as Lori mentioned, it's really a collaborative effort with our families. What do you need? How can we better support you? How can we get your kids to school? What can we do for you, right? So it's thinking about the families as the center and really helping them and supporting them with any resources that we can problem solve and find in the community. And a lot of that too is in collaboration with our admin assistants. They're our first line of defense in our building oftentimes that are working with families. So we collaborate with them as well in this process. They help us a lot with the communication too to our families. So thinking about how we're communicating regularly when attendance is an issue, and providing those supports as often as possible. I also just wanted to mention too and highlight that attendance policy has been really beneficial to many of our families, seeing the importance of being at school on time. When we had families that were regularly absent, maybe for a good chunk of the morning or at the end of the day, they were missing a lot of instruction time, and this policy really helped a lot of our families notice that, and have a lot of our families have been getting their children to school on time that maybe had issues in the past. So it was a really great addition too. So continuing to highlight that practice as well. And I will pass to Todd for engagement.
All right. You heard Lori mention that the district does not have a goal specifically around the Life at School survey. However, student engagement is obviously very much alive and on our radar at the school level. And at elementary schools, we may have some different specific needs for our student body that come up through that survey, but each of our guiding coalitions is outlining some steps to address those specific questions that may be deficient according to the survey, which can be a bit volatile from year to year, but through our student rounding processes and ways to get student voice, we feel like we can address things even in real time as they come up. And so staying in touch with our student body in various groupings and various meeting situations in the rounding, but we feel like that's going to help us stay on top of the needs of our students, hearing their voices directly.
I know I shared it before, and I'm going to say it again. Like, I just absolutely love that you guys have so much engagement and taking input from the people that we're teaching, like the children that we're teaching, because sometimes we have like one perception of how things are, but unless you hear from the students, you don't really know. So, I had wrote down too that having students part of the discussion, grade level representatives, like even with the curriculum, like how is it going? Do you feel like you're getting what you need? Like, that's fantastic. Like, we're going to get better outcomes if we know, like, is it actually working? Is it not just the numbers, but do you feel like it's working? So I appreciate that you guys continue to do these surveys and engaging our students directly. So thank you.
All right. So some highlights at the middle school in the area of achievement. Obviously, as Lori mentioned earlier, we are focused on the implementation of our new ELA curricular resource. So that's taken up a lot of time and energy from an ELA perspective. We also have a new math course this year, 6th grade advanced, and so we made some changes to the offerings in the course sequence and just how we did our math acceleration, because I think I shared with you previously, but I think we were under accelerating, just had a number of students that we weren't challenging enough, and so we made some changes there, and as part of that, we have more teachers teaching accelerated math, and so we're going to have those teachers work together around best practices in advanced math instruction, because the questions are already coming up, like how do you keep them busy sometimes when they're done, and so things of that nature are what we're some highlights for achievement. for growth. We have an incredible opportunity that the district is supporting us with in getting all of our resource teachers and interventionists and some of our English teachers trained in morphology, and so it will be give us more options for interventions specific to really filling those major skill gaps that students have when it comes to some of those underlying or foundational building blocks of learning how to read. And so some more options there is great. Also, just the evolution of Topper Time, some of the changes that we're making there are going to really, I think, help target growth. Again, not just focused on the kids who are furthest behind academically, but also the middle group and the high group with more enrichment and a little bit more structure to study halls. And then finally, in the kind of joint category of attendance and student engagement, so going off of the success of our cell phone policy last year, which a staff member came up with the tagline of bell to bell, no cell. So from the start of the school bell to the last bell, they had no cell phone. It may seem a little silly, but just having super clear expectations and, really hitting it hard at the beginning of the year, as well as having a little bit of a catchy phrase, really just helped embed it as part of our culture that this is how we do things here. So much so that, quick funny story, I had 6th graders last year. They created a petition for the last day of school to be a cell to cell no bell day, where they wanted they petitioned to have their cell phones all day and just turn the bells off. I declined said petition, but the phrase, it stuck with them, right? And so this year, in addition to the cell phone policy, the other major things from like a behavior standpoint that we're focusing on are tardies. We're really focusing on tardies. There's no reason that if you're in the building, you shouldn't be in class. Well, there are reasons sometimes, but you know what I'm saying. So on time, every time is kind of what we're saying this year, focusing on hitting the tardies hard. And as an example for that, we kind of gave them a 2-week grace period these last 2 weeks, but we were tracking nonetheless. And Jana and I we had about 20 students that had 3 or more tardies in the first 2 weeks. And so we touched base with all of them and sent some notes home just to let them know that hey, this is where they're at already. We're trying to develop good habits. Starting next week, if they accumulate too many, it'll be a lunch detention, things of that nature. Messaging the why as well as the what, very clear communication. And then the last thing is keep it clean, keep it classy, focusing on students using appropriate language. We know that one will probably be our biggest challenge yet, but that is something that we feel strongly to take on and improve nonetheless. So those are a few of the highlights at OMS.
At the high school, one of the things we looked at is of our current seniors from freshman to junior year who grew the most. And that might mean growing from the 10th percentile to 30th. It might mean from 70th to 90th, wherever it was. But who grew the most? And then the next question is why. Our Guiding Coalition last week identified the questions that we'll be asking. These will be interview questions that we'll be doing one-on-one with students, trying to identify the tier 1 things or tier 2 or 3 that flat out help students grow the most. So trying to, kind of what Tracy said, really going to the students of what worked regardless of what we thought worked or didn't work. The attendance review meeting, as soon as students drop below that threshold of 90% after the first month, it means, Charlie sitting down first with the student, what's going on, what do you need, what are the barriers, and then following up with the parent after that about here's what we're hearing from your son or daughter, moving forward with that. And then Jason mentioned last year the great work Garrett Silker did with our Engage Time. It's looking at increasing the high interest areas, finding more staff in those areas, and actually we have more staff wanting to do Engage Time this year than we did last year, which is also a celebration. Getting more kids feeling like they belong at OHS.
I'd like to just for a second, it's related, if we're talking this pillar, and then Jared, on the district Facebook, we talked about one of the best schools in the country, top 10% U.S. News and World Report, top 18,000 schools, right, top 10%. So I want to take a moment outside of social media and here, just say that's an incredible achievement. In the past, there's been a thought of we have to be careful about recognizing one school because it could diminish the focus on another school, and I disagree with that, very much so. I think it's intimately connected. Success at one school to another. Success isn't mutually exclusive that way. It's not a zero-sum game. So I want to lean into thanking all the hard work that's done at the high school, but every school, because every student sees Mrs. Stoll, Mrs. Epps, and then goes to Mr. Levengood, and then goes to Shep and Mrs. Benzing. So it's laps all run and run very well. So just congratulations to everybody on that accomplishment. It's no small thing, and it is broadcast, but I think it should be mentioned probably here as well. So, I mean, just absolute tremendous work from everybody, all the upstream talent, and I'm sure you would agree, that lands with you at the high school.
It's a K-12 celebration.
Yeah.
Pre-K-12.
Yeah. Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
I have just a quick question. Ben, you had touched on the tardies and how you checked in with some of the students who'd had the 3 tardies, and I just want to be clear that those parents weren't hearing about that for the first time, I assume, right?
No.
Because if they're like me, and I'm going to out my daughter who got a tardy, it's a call, it's an email, it's a voicemail, it's a text message. It's like you're hearing about
Correct.
it, and I just want to make that really clear that that's not the first time someone's hearing this about their student.
Correct. So typically parents will get a phone call and an email if their student was marked tardy or absent for a class period. And if you have the app, you'll also get a notification, push notification from the app. So you'll get notified in real time. And it's really tempting to not walk down to the classroom where your child is. Like I have had the temptation to do a few times. When you get that real-time notification, I know not everybody's in that situation, but anyways. So there's a lot of notifications. What is new is us having a increased emphasis on it with students in developing good habits of not just hanging in the hallways, being in class on time every time. So our increased focus on it, as well as the potential lunch detention, that's what's new, and so that's what we're trying to do some extra communication around, the why behind it as well as the what, before we actually have to get to that point. Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you.
I think I'm going to roll into pillar 2. I just want to remind everyone that our intent here was to be really big picture. And then you do have access to the very detailed plans. If you have any questions regarding that, please reach out. Pillar 2 related to community engagement. You know, I tell people this all the time with all the complexities of what we do here in our school district. You know, it seems like everything at the end of the day boils down to relationships and communication, right? And it really drives and is the heartbeat of what we do. So we're excited to share some new ways of thinking with that. We are going to continue on with our district score card, which is largely based upon surveying of the community. We've had many discussions, just full transparency with the board, that there's a flaw with that, and the flaw is, you know, how many people take the survey, right? And you all know we get a lot of smart people related to data and statistics. If you have very few people take a survey, it doesn't give you a lot of reliability in terms of what you're trying to figure out. We're going to continue on with these high leverage questions, but you're going to see that we're trying to leverage some other things that we feel like we have a better handle on related to data. When our previous goals and action steps related to this have been created in the past, we didn't have a communications director. And as you all know, because you see it and feel it every day, is that the district has really changed and evolved and upped their game as it relates to communication. And in working with Nick to, you know, try and come up with some metrics that would really help tell the story. You know, a lot of things is related to how much traffic we're getting on our website. And we're trying to utilize best practices in communication to make sure anything that we ever do, we drive our audience back to the website, right? So that there's some infrastructure kinds of things and best practices that we need to evolve into, just as it relates to how we send out our newsletter and communication and get everything driven back to that website. So you're going to see some evolvement in that area throughout this year as well. So our goals really are related to tracking our website users, and then we can track some of our email communications as well. And you can see some of our action steps there. But, you know, one of the things that we talk a lot about is we recognize that we have all kinds of different stakeholders. We are responsible to communicate and have an obligation to communicate with all of them, whether you're a community member that have children or grandchildren in our school district or not. So we're taking a look at all of our audiences and really doing an audit and an inventory of how we're doing outreach and communication to be very intentional, to have a high level of confidence that we're hitting the mark for each of our audiences. And you're going to see lots of new things, hopefully, like one thing that we did just the other day. Now, I didn't call it out specifically in our action plan here, but we did coffee and conversation, right? We're able to bring in community members and do that face to face, right? So it's just trying to have a good, I guess, diversity in how we communicate and try and hit all of our stakeholders. So that's really what you're seeing here, and we leaned on Nick and his expertise to come up with some good metrics and how we're going to track some things. So with that, I'll end my remarks and we can move on to Pillar 3.
Thanks, Ben. And it's been a shared relationships drive, the work we do, and this is no different in Pillar 3. We have met our goal when it comes to the survey feedback, but we cannot, be stagnant and always want to strive for more. So our goals for this year still revolve around the survey. This year will be the time we do the full survey again. But as you know from the scorecard, we have 2 focus areas. That's engagement and PD. And so we're looking at goals related to that, specifically on feedback. And if you looked at our goals last year, you'll see these are the same. The reason being is last year we worked very hard on creating a new system for our support staff, creating rubrics and an evaluation tool to provide better feedback. And so we're just rolling that out this year. And so we want to make sure that we provide feedback during that, as we say, kind of as we've been talking about having a hardwired system. Staff will be selecting an area of strength and an area of growth around those rubrics, and so that way our supervisors can provide that impactful feedback going forward. And then the other one is on employee satisfaction, and the key question is regarding our recognition. We know staff do great things and they want to be recognized, but we want to recognize them in the manner that they see and need, but being authentic and impactful. And so what system can we use to make sure we connect all those micro and macro strategies to make sure that we can recognize the staff around the core values that they perceive with us.
Just double click on that for just a second. Like, it'd be easy to sit and look at retention and say, well, we made it, we're doing a great job, right? But to rest on those laurels and not think about how we continuously improve staff along the way, and keep them here, but keep them growing, would be a mistake. So these both really resonate for me, and thank you for reviewing that with us.
So with Pillar 4 exists to support all the other pillars. This one does not cascade down to the building. It really is the foundational support to basically make everything else that's in our strategic plan happen. And I thought, as Eric was talking about the high school, it's not a mutually exclusive thing. I think like something that just popped into my brain is like this strategic plan. It's kind of like what we had before, where all of the wheels on the car, like all the wheels were really spinning, but if the wheels aren't aligned to one another, you're going nowhere. And so like that is really what's happening now with this strategic plan. It's that mechanism that puts all of these really hard-working wheels, and we're moving, and it's really exciting to see what is happening in the district with this work. So with the Pillar 4, there are 2 goals, and it's basically about making sure that our operations are supporting all of the work that's happening throughout the organization. We look at, let's see here, I'm getting in the right place here. The goal is to increase the operations satisfaction survey to 4.25. And we missed that this past year a little bit, but we've got processes in place. And Ben always talks about, like, what does a model department look like? What does a model school district look like? And basically taking those things and for each of our departments and really working hard on putting different things into place that really makes us what we want to be to support all the other work that's going on. And then in addition to that, we started this past year looking at creating a rubric that basically measures our return on investment, because in the slide before, we want to make sure that we're looking at what we invest to our results being in the top 5, and we were in 22, 23, 6, we improved both of those in the past year. And remember, this data is always 1 year behind. That's why it's showing in 23, 24 rather than 24, 25. We've met the goal, but as you said, now we've got to keep it and try to get even better if we can. And doing this work for alignment should hopefully help us get to that point. So taking that work that we've done, and schools are really good at putting things on the plate, but like measuring their success and were they effective, and stepping back and looking at the things that we're investing money in, is that giving us the return on investment? And basically taking that, we've done a budget strategy map, you've seen that before. We started the implementation process of it, but now it's really refining it. And we're not going to see all of our results in year 1. It's making sure that we're going back to that multiple years to make sure. Sometimes it may take a couple of years to see the fruits of the labor on that investment. One of the things I think, like with Anna Pals, we're not even starting that, but seeing the pictures of what is happening with the students that are a part of that program already, before we even have the space done, it's just reimagining it is just heartwarming. And doing more of that kind of work is just really, really important as we move forward. So looking at that methodology to just measure those successes and making sure that we've got, we're measuring it, doing more than, well, we think it's going to do this. What's it really doing? So that will be our goal for the upcoming year.
All right, and this last fancy slide, this says Ben's commentary.
Razzle dazzle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the reality: is that well, first of all, strong work on creating this this strategic plan that you must have done prior to 2022 because it was implemented then. It's a good plan. But you know, one thing that we need to start thinking about is what's the next evolution or iteration of what our plan will be. Okay. You know, I'm not shy about sharing some of my thoughts related to, I think 5 years is a long time. Like, it's hard to predict what the world's going to be like or what our needs are going to be 5 years from now. And now we've worked through this strategic plan now for, what, 3 years, or are we on 4, maybe year 4? And we need to start thinking about what's our next version of this. Where are we going? And I wanted the board to just know that that's going to be a lot of the work that we work on this year in our administrative team, professional learning communities. Okay, you know, Janet referenced this. What does a model department look like? And I think that when I take a look at our strategic plan, that's one thing that I've really kind of latched onto, and I think it's a good thing to latch onto, because in our vision of what we see ourselves or what we want to be, it talks about to be a model school. Well, have we asked the question, like, what does a model school district look like? What does a model school look like? What does a model food service department look like? You know, when you take a look at it and you drill down, okay, what are the characteristics that will make a great place, right? And this whole idea, and you hear me say it a lot, about being pleased and proud but not satisfied. And I think the one thing that you're going to learn about me, and if you haven't already, is I'm hungry. And I want us all to be hungry. And I don't want to, you know, rest on our great reputation of being a strong school district. We need to get better, and we can get better. And you know, the reality is we're here to prepare our students for the world outside of the walls of our school, right? So we have to be relevant with that changing world, and our world is changing all the time, right? All of the different demands our students are going to have are changing. We can't predict what the world's going to be like for our kindergartners 15 years from now when they're out into their early college years. So I guess what I want to share with the board is we're going to get to work. We're going to identify what are the characteristics of a model school district, and we hope that that's going to be able to kind of, we're going to pull out of that some of our goals that we can start focusing on. And maybe if we can get some real good momentum on that work this year, that might be the starts of discussions with you on what our next version of this will be, okay? Because I think that we have the opportunity potentially to, I guess, modify or revise this even prior to the year 2027. Because as you've kind of been able to see through some of the presentations here, even in Pillar 2 and 3 and 4, like some of the things that we've accomplished a lot there, right? And we find that most of our work, that we really are focused on are in Pillar 1, and you realize that that's just this big monster. So we have this opportunity, I think, to have some fresh eyes on this, to look at it a little bit differently. And I guess I've just asked the board to potentially consider, if it's appropriate, towards the end of this year, to start taking a look at what's this next version going to be, right? And I'll also just throw out there that we don't have to wait until 2027 to evolve and move forward. If we're ready to move forward sooner than that, I think we should. And I guess I'm a believer in calling these things more of a continuous improvement plan that can be looked at even yearly versus 5 years before you would create something different. So I guess that's my thought that I wanted to share with you, is that we're going to tie this work to our PLCs, and we're going to keep you, I guess, informed on our progress throughout the year.
I'll just say, I think it makes abundant sense. Last thing I think we want to do is arrive in 2027 without a plan, right? So we've made a lot of good progress on each of the pillars, and now we keep talking about continuous improvement in that mindset. So, adapting to what Ben's just spoken about, in that idea of like continuously looking at it, and the next step, the next iteration makes a lot of sense to me.
I just think of myself and how I'm a known procrastinator, and so I appreciate that you're talking about it now, because like you said, when this was established, you hit the ground running. I mean, it never stops. So I appreciate that you're, thinking ahead already. So that's great.
Great report out. Appreciate that. A lot of work went into the discussion for tonight. Let's move on to our action item 17, which is the renewal for the SRO contract. Turn over you, Ben.
Yeah, this is just, every year we work with the city on the contract. The city has been working with us each year on what's a appropriate, fair dollar amount that this would, cost the school district. In our partnership, you're going to see that there's a small increase in the contract in terms of how many resources we're providing for that SRO. But other than that, there's very few changes, other than I would say this. Our biggest issue we had to work through is when our SRO is gone, like if they have a sick day or trainings or, different things like that. The city has indicated they are going to make every effort to bring in a sub for us, which we consider that a win. So I'm asking that the board vote to approve this.
Any questions for Ben?
Maybe just a comment. I think we're finding that officer is very beneficial in our district, and there's very positive response to their presence.
Thank you. I think we would all agree with that for sure.
I would move that we approve to enter into an agreement with the City of Onalaska for a school resource officer for the 25-26 school year as outlined in enclosure 17 SRO.
Second.
Motion by Ann, seconded by Brian to approve the request to enter into an agreement with the City of Onalaska for a school resource officer for the 2025-26 school year as detailed in enclosure 17 SRO. Are there any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that request is approved. Thank you. Are there any requests to remove items from the consent agenda for separate consideration?
Seeing none, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Brian, seconded by Tracy to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any further questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The consent agenda is approved. We have no further business.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Brian, seconded by Eric to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.